Hello, welcome back to my show. This is episode 17 of Nick Lenz's Comic Corner. Classics slash non-classics. Probably need to do a new opening clip, but another time. Well, you know I'm going to why do I review, why you're doing this in the show. In this episode, I'm reviewing Spider-Man, Death, and Dating. Where in this book, guess who makes a return for the first time in 3 years? Shocker! Yes, Shocker's back. This book collects issues 570, 583, and annual 35. This fact, in the back it says and number 1. It's actually a 35th annual. Pretty much in this book, it's basically Spider-Man trying to get... Now, the book itself has written by the wonderful Mark Waid, Mark Groom, who writes the annual, Dan Slott, and Roger Stern, who is a classic Spider-Man writer who has written Spider-Man in the past. So it's nothing unusual. His stories, and these stories are actually pretty good. Yeah, and it does give like a little flashback what's been going on in the Spider-Man books. Yeah, all the Spider-Man books have this, where they give sort of basically a flashback, if you will, of what's going on in the Spider-Man comic. Yeah, and the artwork is not bad. I like this artwork. This is artwork I like to see, not John Romita Jr.'s artwork. Yeah. Yeah, he's trying to catch a subway in this book, and he meets up with a model who's basically in the nude underneath her jacket. Yeah. Yeah, and this is a pretty good story. Yeah, where a subway crashes, and this is actually referenced in another book. And then he meets the first time J. Jonah Jameson Sr. His debut, Jonah's father, which makes him Junior, and John Jonah Jameson III. Yeah, Jameson has a very on-off relationship with his father. Nothing unusual. I mean, I thought Jameson got a grandfather, but he hasn't. Yeah, this is a two-part story, and Spider-Man took people out, he's trying to couple out, and BAM! Here's Shocker! Yeah. Shocker. I like that name. Yeah. Of course, he also somewhat teams with him after he gets a brief fight with him. And he finally introduced himself. He says, my name is J. Jonah Jameson Sr. He says the word senior because his son is junior. I think the reason why they put him in here because they probably needed somebody to be a father. Now, this is never really brought up exactly who Jameson's father was at this point. But now, we finally get a chance to see his father, but not his mother. Now, it's assumed possibly his mother's been dead for years, so... Okay. Yeah, people trying to get out of the tunnel. Spider-Man battles up Shocker for a bit. He even takes his gauntlet and briefly teams up with him so to escape it. Yeah, because he has no choice. Yeah. No Shocker still somewhat there. And apparently Jameson basically went with... Jameson still doesn't like him. But, okay, story. Next is the annual that some people tend to talk about. It's pretty much revealing who this jackpot really is. And it turns out this jackpot is not really anybody else, anybody we know. Her name is Adeline Johnson. Her real name is Sarah Erner. Yeah. It's assumed this was Mary Jane Watson, but Mary Jane Watson looks like anything like this. Heck, even when she makes his debut, she calls up Tiger hit the jackpot. It's assumed it's Mary Jane Watson, but it's not. It's not. Sarah Earnhardt, yes. Of course, he meets up with Overdrive. Well, I think this is Overdrive. Yeah. A very odd type of deal. Yeah, he's sort of convinced to try to retire. He goes to Baxter and meets up with Mr. Fantastic. It's nice the fact that Baxter shows up in here. It's not very often. Of course, he has some coffee with Betty Brant. They're very good friends. The Mogul. Yeah. And then Spider-Man acts like a peeping Tom. This is something I want to talk about here. He's looking through her apartment, looking to see what he's trying to find about her. And he found drugs. He's like, on drugs. Like, I was inspired like daily. It's quiet now. And then she starts to undress. and he's acting like a peeping Tom. He's like, "Oh, please don't look up, pretty please." And he looks up, "Hey, holy, look at your back." And then she catches him, gets to a brief fight with him. Yeah, and the drugs pretty much ruining her back. Yeah. She talks to him for a bit more. Yeah, and she, this is not very talked about annual very much. Yeah. I think this is Mogul. This guy is. Yeah, and here's something that I don't know much about this villain, but it turns out that Mogul's a girlfriend is Kamandra. Yeah, I hardly know anything about Kamandra, so don't ask me who she is. Let's just say she's an old villain from the 80s. Yeah. Jackpot comes in after she defeats him, then she just gets into some kind of takes a drug to sort of calm her down a bit. And after leaving, then she just dies. And then they take off her wig, or she's wearing a wig. Now, if you look very closely in this picture, that's Jackpot with her wig on. Yeah. And then Spider-Man pretty much just hands her over her costume to the real Sarah Earnhardt, who takes up Jackpot and appears on and off ever since. Jackpot was not a very popular character. I had no problem with Jackpot, just that kind of a confusing character. And it turns out Sarah here was actually in love with the person posing as Jackpot, with the person posing as her. Yeah. And next part is just simply just dealing with death and dating. And this villain. A villain who only appeared twice. I barely remember this one because I've read the miniseries. The Blank. Yeah. West Coast Avengers, one of the very first villains they fought, the Blank, who they fought for 2 issues in the original miniseries back in the 80s. Yeah. Blank does show up for a couple issues, yes. They mention his history from West Coast Avengers number 1, number 2, and 3. And then this is something he gets very in head with. It says, after Avengers of the Green robbery of armed car, the Blank formed a brief alliance with supercriminal Graviton. And he says, alliance? He treated me like a stooge. Then he hit me with his damn gravity wave and threw me out to the sea. That was way back West Coast Avengers number 3, and he hasn't been seen since. It's interesting they bring back him. Now, one thing about Spider-Man comics, that's quite. They bring back old '80s villains originally, then they bring back Dan's on bring back '90s villains like Stunner or something like that. Yeah, this is just a simple one-shot story. And the next story is something that people have been hoping for exactly. How did Harry Osborn make out? How is he simply alive? They finally explain. Carly Cooper does show up in the story. Yeah, this is how she's drawn in the book. Yes. Yeah. Of course, Molten Man is malfunctioning. They finally reveal exactly how did he survive. They explain how basically Jameson, how somehow Norman Osborn at this time, when he apparently was dead, he somehow was alive and well. So behind the scenes, he switched out Harry's body with a fake, and had Mysterio arranged to fake his death in a way. And that's revealed in this issue. This is just a standalone issue, simply in a way. Yeah, it's actually a 2-parter. Actually, yes. It's Harry's basically meet with Liz Allen again, and his son Normie, who after this. Now, prior to this, I've been wondering, where the heck has Liz Allen been? And where has Normie Osborn been? But here's the thing. After the story, they never appear against Spider-Man comics until the pages appear with Spider-Man. Yeah, they appear on and off, so, yeah. That's pretty much what goes on to these 2 parts here. Okay, it cures him. Then comes 583. Where he tries against a date, I think it's supposed to be Silvermane. Yeah, he goes with many different dates in this book. Just a one-shot issue. Battles Menace briefly. Jameson gets introduced to Mary Parker in a way. Sort of said that will happen next book. And then he basically has sort of a date with, Then he has a date with Betty Brant. Talks to her a bit. And that's it. And then this book ends on a happy note. So, this is actually an okay story. Well, it's actually a bit better than Kraven's First Hunt. But I would get the story a 4 out of 5. It's an okay story to read. It's an average read, but it's a good story to see. Basically, see some old villains show up. Jackpot dying. So you learn about Jackpot more. Otherwise, though, that's it. Next episode, this one. Yeah, I'm going to rant about this bit. So, see you all next episode. Episode 18.